प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि। विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सर्गस्थितिप्रलय हेतुमचिन्त्य शक्तिम् विश्वेश्वरं विदित विश्वमनन्तमूर्तिम् निर्मुक्तबन्धनमपार सुखाम्बुराशिम् श्रीवल्लभं विमलबोधघनं नमामि। यस्य प्रसादादहमेव विष्णुः मय्येव सर्वं परिकल्पितं च। इत्थं विजानामि सदात्मरूपम् तस्याङ्घ्रिपद्मं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। श्लोक 51। विशीर्णकार्यकरणः भूतसूक्ष्मैरनावृतः विमुक्तकर्मनिगडः सद्य एव विमुच्यते। The greatness of Vedanta lies in the fact that it does not promise a posthumous result. If you study Vedanta now, if you get Atma Jnana now, when will you get the result? Not after death. You see the result now itself. Even while being alive. The Upanishads say, Atra Brahma Samashnute. Atra, in this life itself, Brahma samashnute. He enjoys Brahman. He enjoys the completeness. He enjoys the moksha. He conducts his life like any other individual. Meanwhile, he is fully awake to the fact, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Therefore, I am not affected by what happens in the world. He enjoys the satisfaction. He enjoys the freedom, the inner freedom, the inner peace of being the Brahman. While being alive, it is called Jeevan Mukti. Shloka 52 and 53 talked about Jeevan Mukti. Since Jeevan Mukti happens first, I discuss those two shlokas first. After Jeevan Mukti, Videha Mukti. 51 is about Videha Mukti. One who has attained Jeevan Mukti, one who is enjoying Jeevan Mukti, he is called Jeevan Muktaha. Jeevan Muktaha. One who is liberated while being alive. Now, what happens to the Jeevan Mukta when he dies? When a Jeevan Mukta dies, what happens? To understand this, we should know what happened to a normal person when he dies. An Ajnani. When an Ajnani dies, what happens? According to the Shastra, what happens when somebody dies? We should know only from the Shastra, because we cannot recollect how we died. All of us have died many times. All of us have died hundreds of thousands of millions of times. That is why we are here now. All of us have the experience of death. We know death is painful. That is why instinctively we are scared of death. The death instinct, Instinctively we are scared of death because we have experienced death before. And we know how painful it is to die. Every animal knows. It has the memory of dying. So what happens when we die? When an Ajnani dies? So when an Ajnani dies, the death of an Ajnani is death of this gross body. This Sthula Sharira, the gross body, falls down. And the Jiva leaves this Sthula Sharira. Jiva leaves the gross body. Jiva includes the mind, the senses, the prana. Everything leaves this gross body. Mind, senses, prana, etc. It is Sukshma Sharira. The Sukshma Sharira leaves this body. And when the Sukshma Sharira leaves, it takes some finer parts of the five elements from this body, which will begin the process of creating the next body. Some finer parts of the subtle elements, the five elements from this body, which will begin the process of creating another Sthula Sharira. Such fine elements are called Bhuta Sukshma. So when the Jiva travels from this body, the Jiva is surrounded by the fine five elements which will be responsible for next body. It is called Bhuta Sukshma. There is a discussion in Brahma Sutra. Tadantara pratipattau ramhati samparishvaktah prashna nirupanabhyam. Tadantara pratipatyadhikaranam. In fact, this was the point of debate between Shankaracharya and Vyasa. Vyasa comes in the guise of an ordinary scholar, tries to test Shankaracharya. And he says, when a Jiva goes, Jiva does not take the Bhuta Sukshma, the fine elements from the body. But Shankaracharya establishes, with the support of the Shastra, that when the Jiva travels, it takes the fine elements. It travels surrounded by the fine elements. So that is a discussion in Brahma Sutras. It's just aside. So, when a Jiva travels, he is surrounded by the fine elements. That means he will take up another body. So, such a traveling of the Jiva, it is called Gati. The Jiva has Gati, the transmigration of the Jiva, the transmigration of an individual after death is called Gati. Now this Jiva can have three Gatis. Three Gatis, three types of Gatis. And the Gati of the Jiva is based on what karma the Jiva has done in this life. What I have done here determines my Gati, my journey after death. One Gati is Shukla Gati. It is called Shukla Gati. If he has been an Upasaka, he has done lot of meditation on Ishvara, lot of japa, lot of meditation. He was a bhakta. Then he travels by Shukla Gati. It is the best possible Gati. Sadgati. The best possible Gati. That is why when someone passes away, we pray for his Sadgati. We don't say rest in peace. Rest in peace is a Western idea. Because they think the body rest means the person also is resting. That is why they put him under the earth. They bury him. But what rest there is only body. The Atma, the Jiva does not rest there. Jiva travels. That is why we pray Sadgati. Let him have Sadgati. So the best possible Gati is Sadgati. The Jiva will go to Vaikuntha, Kailasa and such places. There it will stay. It will get another body. And it will stay in Vaikuntha or Kailasa or any other higher loka. If he is a Shiva Bhakta, he will go to Vaikuntha. If he is he will go to Kailasa. If he is Vishnu Bhakta, he will go to Vaikuntha. So loka, highest loka. But even that is not moksha. Even there, he is limited. He has some limitation. There, if Ishvara blesses him with the jnana, then he may get moksha there. So that is one possibility. He is still an ajnana, but he is a bhakta. So he will go to higher lokas. It is Sadgati. Then there is another possibility. It is called Krishna Gati. Second Gati is Krishna Gati. Krishna Gati means he will go to a higher loka, not as high as Vaikuntha and Kailasa. A higher loka called Swarga. They will go to Swarga, where there is lot of enjoyment. And they will enjoy the result of their punya in Swarga. But the Swarga is not eternal. How long can he stay in Swarga? As long as his punya allows him to stay. It is like staying in a 5-star hotel. How long can you stay? As long as you can pay the bill. And if you are not able to pay the bill, get out. Likewise, Swarga also. As long as you can pay the bill in the form of punya, you are able to stay there. Once your punya gets exhausted, you return to this earth as a human being once again. It is another Gati. It's called Krishna Gati. Not bad. But then there is another gati called adhogati. Adhogati means going downwards. What is adhogati? Pashvadisthavaranta adhogati. One can become an animal or plant, or one can even go to Naraka, the lower janmas. It is called adhogati. If one does not follow any value and does lot of adharma, lot of evil actions, then he goes by adhogati. So these are the three possible gatis. And the gatis are for an ajnani. All gatis are for an ignorant person, one who does not know the Atma. What happens to an Atmajnani? As we have seen earlier, yesterday, an Atmajnani does not have sanchita karma. Sanchita karma gets exhausted. The karma stored up in many janmas get exhausted. Get burnt, not get exhausted. Without giving the result, it gets destroyed. And a jnani does not have any fresh karma. After jnana, if he does any action, even after getting jnana, he can do some good actions. He may help someone. What will happen? If he was an ajnani, he would have accumulated some punya. But a jnani does not accumulate punya also, because it is not needed for him. He is already Brahman. Being Brahman, no addition of punya is needed for him. And the jnani does not accumulate papa also. If he makes any mistake. So free from punya and papa. The reason why he is free from punya and papa is because he does not identify himself as the doer of any action. You get the result of an action when you identify as the doer. A jnani does not identify himself as the doer in the real sense. He is free from kartrutva, doership, and free from enjoyership also, free from bhoktrutva. Therefore, he does not accumulate any fresh punya and papa. Therefore, agami karma or kriyamana karma, a jnani does not accumulate. No fresh karma is accumulated by a jnani. So sanchita karma is destroyed. Agami karma he does not accumulate. Then there is prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means the karma responsible for this life. It has already been activated. Jnana does not destroy the prarabdha karma. Even after jnana, prarabdha karma continues to give its result. That is why even a jnani will have disease. Even a jnani will have his own ups and downs of life. Though he may not get affected by them as much as an ajnani. But he will have his own problems, his own ups and downs in life. Then the prarabdha karma gets exhausted. How long does the prarabdha karma last? It cannot last very long as this lifespan. When the prarabdha karma also gets exhausted, all his karma becomes zero. Because sanchita karma is already zero. As soon as the jnana has happened, as soon as he got jnana, his sanchita karma has become zero, nil. Agami karma, fresh karma, zero. He does not score any fresh karma, zero. So you can think of a scoreboard. Sanchita karma, zero. You can make a diagram. Agami karma, zero. And prarabdha karma, some number is there. But it is counting down. Like a countdown. So it is 80, 100 or whatever. It's not number, I am just saying. Karma cannot be counted in terms of number because there are varieties of karma. So slowly the prarabdha karma gets exhausted as we are living. The prarabdha karma gets exhausted. So at one point of time, it gets zero. Already countdown is happening. Every moment countdown is happening. So from 100 it becomes 80. From 80 it becomes 70. Then 10. Then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So prarabdha karma gets zero. All three karmas are 0, 0, 0. Then what happens? His body collapses. He can no longer live in this body because prarabdha got exhausted. So all three karmas have become zero. Then he is vimukta karma nigadaha. He is free from all the shackles of karma. Then what happens? When there is no karma, a jnani's sthula sharira as well as his sukshma sharira get disintegrated. Vimukta karya karanaha. A jnani becomes free from karya karana sanghata. When an ajnani dies, only the sthula sharira disintegrates. The mind, etc. Sukshma sharira remains intact and it travels. But for a jnani, sthula sharira, as well as the mind, body, etc., mind, senses, etc., all get disintegrated. bhuta sukshmair anavritaha. And the jnani is not surrounded by bhuta sukshma. Unlike an ajnani who travels with the bhuta sukshma, which is responsible for another body, a jnani is not surrounded by bhuta sukshma anymore. That means there is no reason for another body. There is no cause of another body. So, bhuta sukshmair anavritaha. And such a person will not have any gati. A jnani does not have gati. He does not travel anywhere after death. Instead, he as though becomes one with the Brahman, as though merges with the Brahman. As though, because already he is Brahman. Already he is Brahman. Even we are Brahman already. But Ajnani does not know. But Ajnani is aware of it. Despite having the body, he knows I am not the body. I am not the mind, I am Brahman. But still there is a seeming difference from the standpoint of an onlooker. But when the prarabdha comes to an end, there is nothing to separate him from Brahman. The upadhi is gone. Just like the pot is broken. When the pot is broken, what happens to the pot space? Pot space is the space. That's it. There is not even an apparent division. It is called Videha Mukti, freedom from embodiment. Sadhya eva vimuchyate, he becomes free immediately. Sadhya eva. Sadhya eva means he does not have to travel. It's not that he travels to some other loka and there he is awarded with the moksha. It is not. Nobody has to reward him with moksha because already he is mukta. As soon as he got jnana, he has attained moksha. In fact, moksha is not something that you receive somewhere else. You do not have to attain moksha in true terms. There are two types of attainments. One is called apraptasya prapti, getting something which you do not have. It is called apraptasya prapti. I do not have something, so I have to get it somewhere from outside. But then there is something called praptasya prapti, attaining something that you already have. If you already have something, how can you say you have to attain it? It is possible only in the instance of ignorance. Like someone is wearing the glasses already. And then he is looking for the glasses. Where have I kept my glasses? He searches for it everywhere. He searches it for inside, and then he searches for it outside, everywhere. Then someone looks at you and asks, "What are you looking for?" You say, "I am looking for my glasses. I am not finding it anywhere. I searched in all my cupboard, inside, and I searched where all the places where I visited today, but I didn't find it." Then your friend says, "You will not find it anywhere outside." Why? Because it is already on your face. Then what do you say? You will have an exclamation. "Yes, I found it." Did you find it? You have not lost it. Then how can you find it? So it was as though lost because of ignorance. Likewise, the moksha is your own swarupa. Moksha is your own true nature. You have never lost moksha. But then you think you don't have moksha. Why? Ignorance. Self-ignorance. You are already Brahman, who is Nitya Mukta, ever free, ever complete, ever free from the problems of samsara. And Vedanta does not make you Brahman. It's not that Vedanta puts you into a washing machine and makes you Brahman. It is not so. If you are not Brahman already, you can never become Brahman. And even if you become something called Brahman, you will not remain Brahman always. Because anything transformed, it is not permanent. Any transformation is not permanent. After some time you can become something else. So bud became flower. It was a bud earlier, now it became flower. How long will it remain a flower? After a few hours, it won't be a flower. You cannot call it a flower. If I ask you to bring a flower, you cannot bring me this after a few hours. So, if you become Brahman, that means it is not permanent. So, you are not becoming Brahman. Vedanta does not ask you to do something and become Brahman. Vedanta says, you are already Brahman. You have been Brahman always and you will be Brahman always. Thus, Vedanta makes you discover yourself. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.